Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Finay. Today we're gonna be diving into like our previous lesson, which was authentication in C++. But this time we're gonna be using functions to do so. All right. So I'm gonna be sharing my screen so that you guys can see what it will look like. Okay. We're going to check out the user's name. Okay. We're gonna be like, hey. Enter your name, say, I don't know, my name is Finay. Alright, we're gonna put Finay here. And it's gonna say, welcome, Finay. Okay? We're gonna put the user's name and we're gonna double check the password. And it's gonna say you have logged in successfully. Once that's done, we're gonna be using that information to double check your score. Let's say you have an average for your score, you're gonna use that to calculate the average for the score. Okay? Let's do 90. We can do say 75, and then let me do another maybe 75. Okay, I was gonna say, hey, your average is 80, therefore you have a good job and you can keep improving. All right, so that's the premise of doing this programming with functions. Okay, function just allows you to make calls faster and quicker, and it also makes your code a bit nicer to look at. So we're gonna dive right in. Okay. Always remember to put your include out of string and also your include string, and then using namespace.std. Okay, so remember, like, functions are like a block of information that we can call, right? It's, think of it as like you have some form of a book and you can go within your file and get one library of it. Okay, so that's the best way I can paraphrase it. So you have your function and then you can call it in the main part of the code. So it's just exactly what a function is like it has a function, right? And you can call it that same function, you can call it somewhere else, and allows you to kind of run your code. All right. So what we're gonna do here is, well, we're gonna create a void. Okay. That function is a void function. We're gonna name the function. All right. We're gonna give the function a name. All right. So we're gonna say, let's say greeting the user. Okay. Because that's what, as you guys saw previously, is like we're gonna greet the user. And all right, we're gonna create a parentheses, and the function is gonna hold a string. The string is gonna be the string name. Okay. All right, because we want to be able to call name for the user. Okay. With that, always make sure to put the right thing. String name. We're gonna open our parentheses so that we can call that function. Remember, this function is not a return type function. Therefore, like, it's not gonna return anything besides that statement right here. Okay, and we're gonna say cout, obviously. Okay, cout hello, hello. All right, but okay. That, and then we're gonna continue. Now we're gonna call. Remember, we have the name here in this line, so we're just gonna call it. Okay. All right, that's a call for the name. Therefore, like, whenever the users come in, it's gonna be like, oh, this is the name of the user. Okay. We're gonna put string. All right. I say, welcome back. All right. It's just me making it look nice. We're gonna put welcome back. All right. Of course. And then that shall be it. Now we're gonna continue. All right. We're gonna create another function. This is for like the user, so we can have so we can put the constraint for authentication for the user. All right, that function right here is gonna be a Boolean function. A Boolean function is like true or false, right? So like if this is true, this output, this is going to be the output. If this is false, then this is going to be the output. So let's try it. Okay, we're gonna call a bool function. Okay, let's call the book function verifying, because we need to verify the user information, right? We're gonna say verify login, right? And what will we need? We'll be needing the user's name, the username, and a password for the user. Okay, so that's something that we will be needing for this. All right, so we're gonna open the parentheses so that we can call those the username and the password. So we're gonna have string. Okay, username. I'm getting used to to the keyboard now, and password, and then we're gonna continue. All right. So now we have a username and a password. Okay. So let's continue here. We're gonna be doing because we want to make sure like the user's name and the password are correct. So we're gonna in our function, we're gonna create another string. All right. We're gonna create a string called correct username. All right. Like last time we used admin, but this time we're gonna use my name. All right. We're gonna say username. All right. Let's put. I don't know why I did that. Correct. Okay. Say put correct. Okay. Instead of admin, we're gonna put what? We're gonna put Finney. All right. I like to put capitals because sometimes you might get confused. Finney. All right. Boom. And char are for capital letters. Okay. You can put like one letter. We can put a char and it'll work. We're gonna create another one. We're gonna say correct password. We're gonna keep it simple. Correct password, and we're gonna put, instead of secure 1 2 3, we're gonna make it 1 2 3 4 5. Right? Simple. Right? So in this part, in this function, what we already have, you remember we did this before, but instead of doing it in the main, now we're doing everything in the function. All right. So we already have a string called username. We already have a string called password. Now what we're trying to do is we're gonna put instructions. This is where the if comes through. We're gonna say if the username, right, is equal to the correct username, right, and remember this end mean like these two values have to be true. If these two values are not to be true, then the function will return. Okay, so if these two, remember the end, always very important, right? It's and or, it's very important. So if these two values are true, so which is a 1 1, therefore this is correct. All right. Else, we're gonna put an else statement here. Else, else just return false. All right. And you remember, like, this is also like we're calling the false statement, right? We're gonna return false. That's it. Now we're gonna create another function. Okay, this function is to call like it's for the purpose of having the grade or the average score. All right, and we're gonna call that function. Let's call it double, right? And we're gonna be adding a function called double. Okay, and that function, as I said before, is going to calculate the average of this of everything. Okay, so we're gonna continue here, and we're gonna say double. All right, a double function, what it does is, like, think of it as it has a decimal. Okay, add a decimal to it. Like when you call it double, instead of putting an integer, a double allows you to have like a decimal number. Right, your output could be a decimal number. Does that make sense? Okay, so we're gonna say calculate the average, right? Average. And within this function, because we need, we're gonna call another double, right? We're gonna say double score, because the person can input a score that has a decimal. Double score 1, double score 2, and double score 3. Let's leave it at that, right? And as you might already know, we're gonna put it so that the return will have the average for that user. So whatever score the person puts, that's 1, 2, 3, right? Make sense? And we're gonna continue, and we're gonna make a return average, right? Because what we're looking for here, in fact, let me just, instead of returning the average, let me just put it this way. I'm gonna do this instead, so we can return the average. We're gonna double, we're gonna double it like this, right? We're gonna put another double and call average, right? Just so we can make it look nicer. I don't want to skip that, so you guys will get confused. And then we're gonna return. All right, we're gonna return average instead. Like, it just makes it look nicer. All right, but the same thing I did before, where you just have the return type as this, is the same implementation. All right, this will create the call faster when I'm doing it later on. Okay, and then don't forget your semicolon, and we're gonna keep it pushing. We're gonna have another function. All right, this function is also going to be a function that will be for display. All right, the reason why I like this function is because after we have the average, how we're gonna display the average, right? So we need to display that, right? So we're gonna have void, and we're gonna call it display average, right? And in there, we're gonna say, hey, void display average, and then we're gonna call average. All right. Continue here. So when we in here, you're gonna say your average score is da da da. All right. If, all right, listen to this. This is where we're gonna add the if statement. If what? If average score, all right. That's a nice way to put it, right? If average score is greater or equal to 90, you know, what's the system in America? It's like that's an A, right? Let's keep it like you have you have an excellent, you did an excellent work, because I don't know that you might be in a different country, and that may not be how you guys do it. Okay, so it's greater than 90. Okay, let's put 90 over here, and then we're gonna close our parentheses, and then we're gonna open this right here, and then we're gonna continue. All right, what we're gonna do here in this, we're gonna see out. You did an excellent work. All right, you did excellent in your work. So, yeah, okay, that works. Okay, I don't know why I put this right here, but that should work. Okay, you did an excellent work. See how average, excellent work. I don't know why I'm having an error message here. Yeah, I'm missing one more arrow over here. Forget to add that, you know, and let's continue. We're gonna say else if. Okay, these are all concepts that I've used in all my lessons, so you guys already know them. All right. For people that don't know, just go back and look at my past videos, and you can kind of, you know, keep an idea of what's actually going on right now. Okay, so the if is gonna continue here. We're gonna say a else if average. All right. Else if, all right, the person is what has, I don't know, all right, 75, for instance, right? You did a good job, or you know, you can continue, right? Let's do this. We're gonna continue like this, right? We're gonna say, hey, you did a good job. You know, keep improving yourself, right? Just make it feel more human, all right? Keep improving yourself, okay? Keep improving. Don't stop. You can put whatever, right? Play around with it. It's your code. Improving. Keep improving, all right? And then for here, we're gonna say, instead of keep trying else, if anything below that, anything below a 90 or 75, and if you want to put more instructions, you could be like anything below 75, you could put different grade. You could put grade A, you had a grade B for this, I don't know, whatever score you want to put for that specific information is still gonna be within the average. Okay, else keep trying. Okay, else keep studying. Else keep studying. You know, just if it's a kid, you want to give them support, and you want to keep it so that they want to continue their studies, right? And then you can do better, all right? And that's a fact, okay? This part of the code has been completed. So we call the first function, I'm going to review this. We call the first function greet the user, right? The second one, we called verifying login information, right? Which is like, hey, username, it has to be the same as correct username, and string password also has to be the same. And then we also put like an else statement, return true if this is true, return false if this is false. So we have a return type for that boolean function. We also have a double, okay? That's calculate the average score for the user, and we also have a void display for the average, right? Which allows you to kind of say, hey, if the average is this, don't forget this is what is gonna output for the user. That's what it's gonna display for the user. Okay. So now we're gonna go in the main domain right now. This is the biggest part of this code. All right. So this is where everything starts coming together. All right. We're gonna create a string. Okay, because it's a bit repetitive, but we'll have to create another string. We're gonna call that string username. All right. Because we have what? We had a username here. All right, and we need that. Okay, we're gonna call that string username. Okay, and we also need a name. All right, so we can do username, name, or we can do username, password, and a name. Right? We need these variables. Okay, so we're gonna put password because we need that, And then we're also gonna put name because we also need that. All right. Now we're gonna continue. Because we have double, right? 1, 2, 3. How about we call double S1, right? And double S2 so that we don't have to put it too much, right? S1 and S2, right? And we're gonna keep it at that for the time being. I'll maybe call the average later on, depending on how I'm feeling. All right. So we're gonna keep it at that. Now, what we're gonna do? We're gonna say cout enter username, and then what we're gonna do? We're gonna say get line, as you know, instead of get username, we're gonna say get name first because we're gonna create the first one. So put username, I don't know why, but we wanted to get the user's name. That's the first thing we're gonna call, which is the greet user. So we're gonna greet the user first. We're gonna say, hey, get line, right? Send, all right, send name. As always, we've already done this. We've already worked on this before. How the user could input that name, right? Now that we will have the user's name, what we're gonna do, we're gonna call the function, this function right here. We're gonna call it in the main. That's when the code is actually doing its work. We're gonna call it here. We're gonna say greet user, and then because now the user already input that, what it's gonna get is this function here. So when you call it here on line 44, you're gonna be calling this entire thing, or you're gonna be calling this here, right? So it's gonna output, hey, hello, got the username right here, which is gonna be whatever the user put, and then we're gonna also get welcome back. Okay, that's how it is. Okay, now we're gonna continue, right? So now we're gonna check the user name. We're also gonna put the same thing, get line username, because we want the information from the user. We're also gonna check. We're gonna check the password because we need to double check who it is. Is this person somebody we know, or somebody or not? All right. So we're also gonna get line for the username, the user password, so that we can have a clarity of authentication for the user. Now this is where things get interesting, right? If verify login username, right? So we're gonna be calling if, right? We're gonna be putting that Boolean function in action here. If this function, all right? Let's try it. So if, okay. Okay, if verifying, because we're gonna call it, right? Because it's returning what? The true statement. Okay, this won't work if this is not true, right? So this was funny. If we put Boolean, this Boolean function right here, right? If this is not correct, it's not gonna return a true statement. This is why we're putting it like this, okay? If, say, verifying, is because we're gonna call that function name. If average, right? I think we already have most of the code here. I don't think I have to do much, but I just want to work with it, work with you guys on it. Verify login. All right, the username, because we need that. We're gonna continue here. I want you guys to see this, okay? If the statement is true, therefore, what we're gonna calculate the average for the user, okay? That's the main idea here. If, right, we're gonna say, hey, if username is this, please enter your score, right? Because we will need the score. Okay, so we will enter the score. Say S1, S2, S3. Because what? This function here is true. Understand? Like if it's true, continue like this. Right, we're gonna do, hey, call this if statement, log in successfully, okay? You have login, right? Because the person now is in the system, because that's true. We're gonna enter the first score. We're gonna enter the second score. The user's gonna enter. This is what the SYN is doing here. It's gonna call the second score, the third score. Based upon that, we can now calculate the average. What I'm doing here is I'm calling a function. I'm creating a variable here named average. Okay, it's a double. All right. So I'm creating it, and I'm saying, you know what? Let me call the function calculate average, because we need that. And then once we have that, right? Once we have that information from the average, we're going to continue because this is going down, right? We're going to continue. We're going to say display the average, which is this function. This is the value of it now. Okay, so it's gonna display it, and as you already know, what is it gonna say? Whatever the average is, because we already have this function as a if else statement, is just gonna continue it. It's just gonna show it. All right. Else login failed. The person couldn't get in the system, and then that should be it. Final direction here. Let me see. Maybe am I missing anything here? Do I need to return 0? Let me return 0. Okay. Now we're gonna run this code and play around to see what we got. Okay. Okay. Now remember, username. This is the first part. So this is what it's calling. We're putting what? Enter the name right here from this line. Okay. And then we're gonna continue here. It's gonna be enter name, which is going to be Finet. All right. And then we'll say enter username, right? Because we need that. The username is also going to be Finet. All right. And then we're going to continue. All right. We're going to input the password because we need that. We're going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we have logged in successfully, right? We have done that. So we can continue. We could be like, this is the first score. We're going to put 90. Okay. We're going to put another 90 and maybe 75 for the second one, for the last one, for the third one. Okay, so our average is 85. Okay, because this is below, because the average is below 90, right? We have what? Good job, continue improving. Does that make sense? Because this is below it, this is what's going on here. Okay, now we're gonna close this. Now we're gonna try it one more time. Okay, we're gonna try one more time to show you guys. We're gonna enter Finet. All right. Now this time around, what I want to show you is that I'm not gonna put the right password. Okay. It's gonna say you failed. This is the last else statement. You failed to be able to enter this if statement. Therefore, you didn't log in. Okay. Even though I put the correct name, I just put the correct username, but I didn't put the correct password. And we know that it's not correct because we have this function that is verifying my login information here. Does that make sense? So we're going to continue. Okay, we're going to say Finet. We're going to input the username, Finet. Okay, and you're saying, hello, Finet, welcome back. This is this function, the greeting function. Okay, and then we're going to continue. So I can call this one more time. I don't know if you guys can still see it. Let's say enter username. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's correct. It's gonna say you have logged in successfully, which we need, right? And we're gonna say this time around we're gonna put 90 for everything, so that we can I can show you the importance of having that. And we're gonna put, right? Your average is what? 90. So therefore you had excellent work. That was perfect. You're a good student. Okay. And then we're gonna continue here. We're gonna try one more time. This time around, what I want to show you is that the score will change based upon also the information that we put here. So we're gonna say again, Finet. Okay. We're gonna also put Finet. We're gonna put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Continue. Now we have logged in. Now we're gonna put score 10. That's bad. That's a bad student right here. Okay, we're gonna put 59. We're gonna put a 90 for one of the score, and we're gonna do this 90, 84. Right? So that's 75. It still had a good job. Okay, still did a good job. Okay, what we need is less than that. Okay. All right, Finet. Boom, Finet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're gonna do 50, 50, and then 50. All right. It's gonna say what? Keep studying. You can do better. All right. But I know my students, the people that are following this channel, are learning more, are not gonna get that score. Okay. So if you are coding this, my advice will be creating some space, make it look nicer, and you're gonna see my the beginning of this video, like how I did it where it looked nicer. You can put some space in between everything so that it looks prettier, nicer, and yeah, keep watching, and then that's it. Let me see. And thank you so much for watching.
It was a great video. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you guys. And don't forget to like and subscribe. As I said before, if you learn something new, don't forget to like and subscribe.